I'm sorry.
Caught you dancing again.
Yeah, I just get into that music. It's very driving.
Oh, yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah,
Good,
that's good.
good. Yeah.
That's good. I was going to say, at least you have pants on this time, so that's good.
How do you know?
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So we are talking Fisker versus VinFast today.
Yes, and others.
Yeah, and others. So like,
Yes.
Fisker needs a website that works. Like you're not gonna hear anything from me. We have our own issues.
Yeah.
So
lots of people, including us, need a website that works.
Yeah. So no hate here.
Can I say something about websites that work, folks? Apparently, it's harder than you would ever imagine.
This is an interesting comment, because VinFast is a very old company that has been making cars for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
but have they been making electric cars for a long time?
No. This is new in the EV space. I'll give them that. But we have some news on them. But before we get into that,
yes,
right, I have not showed you this. I know you can probably see it below, but I've not showed you this because I saw something on my way home from Starbucks this morning.
Yeah,
and I stopped, and we have new garbage truck.
Wow,
100% electric vehicle. There was 2 engineers and another guy out there starting it. So this is their first day trial out here in Sacramento on the electric garbage truck space. It was still loud. It was still very loud. Not the engine, but all the rest of the motors.
The mechanics, the hydraulics that were crushing the trash. But how heavy do you suppose the batteries are in something like that?
Yeah, we all kind of asked that. I asked, and nobody had an answer for me on the capacity of the battery, or how heavy the truck was, or who made the batteries. They had nothing for me. They had absolutely nothing for me.
Or the range.
Yeah, well, no, they had a range, and it was 125 miles, he said. Which for a garbage truck is fine.
It's more than enough. But here's a question: the more stuff that you have to use within the confines of a vehicle like that, doesn't that drain the battery? Like every time you use the hydraulics to crush the trash that you just put in it and push it further towards the front of the, doesn't that uses energy?
I know.
And isn't that energy coming from the electric motors or the
batteries? I mean, that one can't be coming from the 12-volt batteries, right? So I mean, it has to be coming from, I would think, that, unless they have other batteries on board to handle that part of it. I don't know. I asked some questions and then I stopped asking questions because I got an I don't know on most of my questions. So I was like,
gotcha.
Okay. So I'll probably be contacting them just to find out.
Is it a good combination to have like trash and electric batteries that might catch fire and
Wow, please. First off, you already know the answer to that. Electric batteries are the least likely to catch fire.
That is true. That is true.
Anything.
When they do, it makes for big news. Good TV.
When they do, good luck putting them out. And I can assume that that truck would be pretty hefty batteries and be pretty hard to put out.
Yes,
I think. But the driver here was having some difficulties with whatever that arm was just crushing the trash cans, just like squeezing them all the way together. I was like, oh, I think so. I don't know what happened with that one. That doesn't seem like something that would be new that you have to test out, because that's how these things work.
Yeah,
but I don't know if there's too much power going there, but
those hydraulic arms have been around for a while.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure how that, and I mean, if you look at the arm on it, it is different than the other
Yeah.
ones that I've seen. You can see sort of the
Yes.
link, the chain link thingy. So I don't know what it
So
is.
that's a Mack truck.
Yeah, it's a Mack truck, and it's from Heel. I could see that part of it, but I don't know who made the battery. And like Mack makes the truck itself, but I don't
Yes.
think they electrified it. Is my guess, but maybe
Yes.
they,
Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting stuff.
yeah. So I was it was interesting. I was like, oh, okay. They were blocking the street, by the way. That's why I was able to go ahead and talk to them because they blocked the entire street for this. But that's fine.
So is VinFast or Fisker going to start offering a electric garbage truck?
Well, it would be
Or are they just
VinFast
gonna be
before
garbage
Fisker, right?
vehicles to begin with? Is that what it is?
Well, I'm hoping not garbage vehicles.
Okay.
So we have, let's see. See, now I gotta share my screen differently. There we go.
Okay.
So VinFast has seen a nearly 600% rise in EV sales, with potential electric truck and a 10,000 mini car coming. And I got to tell you, I kind of like the Model 2, which I am now 70% sure won't be coming to the United States. I
Yeah.
don't think that 10,000 mini is going to come to the US. I think it's going to be a car that's too small for the US market, more of the European teeny tiny cars that you see out
Yeah.
there. And I kind of think after reading all the stuff about the Model 2 and Mexico's, um, that I don't think that's going to come to the US either.
Really?
I know I don't. I think because see, Mexico has free trade with 91 countries, as
Wow.
opposed to the 52 that the United States has, including a lot of obviously Latin America. I think that's where those cars are all going: Africa, Latin America, and those countries. So
But not here.
I don't believe so. That is a guess that I've heard lots of people sort of speculating. Elon hasn't said anything about it, but we'll see. Igor seems to say 90% assurance the Model 2 is coming. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry, not coming to the
Yes.
U.S. Yes.
Gotcha. Yes.
So yeah, the more research I did into it, the more I looked at the Giga Mexico and all that, the more I went, yeah, okay, this is not a vehicle intended. It's going to be too small, probably deemed too small for the American market. You know, Ford and Stellantis have those vehicles they make overseas for those markets that they deem too
Mhm.
small for here. There's just things that won't come here because they're too small.
Well, and realistically, it's hard to convince Americans that we should really consider smaller vehicles, especially um, when we still have this love affair with these huge pickup trucks and SUVs, and they're going to be electric vehicles, and they're going. I mean, take for example the Hummer EV. I mean, that's over 9,000 pounds. Well, if you
Yeah,
have that crashing into one of these mini EVs, that's a disaster waiting to happen.
yeah,
That would
yeah.
make good TV, but that's about it.
Yeah, and even with the better build quality on the EVs and their crash test rating, you're right. You can't have like a truck or especially a 9,000 pound. And by the way, 9,000 is the lower end on that
Yes.
Hummer. It goes up, so it doesn't go over 10, but it can get to like 9,800 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah, you're right. There's an and the Americans just don't want the small vehicles. We look at it. Look, it's the smart car. Like, not that there's nobody buying them, but there's nobody buying them, right?
Uh,
It's just
yeah,
truck.
I was convinced when that car came out, and it was called the Smart for Two, that they had accidentally misnamed it, in that it was really the Dumb for Two.
Yeah,
And I remember there was a picture of the uh, Dieter Zeitz or whatever his name is. He had been running Mercedes at that time, and Roger Penske, both of them in a Smart for Two cabriolet, and their heads were sticking so
Yeah.
far above, and it was like, this is like a cartoonish vehicle. We traded a few of them in my lifetime at dealerships that I worked at, and how people drove those on a daily basis is beyond me. It'd just be so scary.
Yeah. 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 They weren't my thing. I sat in one. I was going to test drive it, but
Yes.
it was so uncomfortable. My knees like up against my chest. It was like, no, like I'm not even gonna. I don't even want to get out on the road on that. So that was, yeah, it was. I see them around every now and then, but
Yes.
like they're very French feeling actually.
Um,
The When I was in France, they had a lot of those little teeny tiny little. There's nothing in front. There's nothing in back. It's just like a cage you're in, and good luck.
yeah. No, Renault used to produce the Le
Yep.
Car many, many years ago that was, very tiny, brought to this country, or as I called that, the Le Toilet, because that's pretty much what it was. But I'm interested, even though Fisker's website doesn't work very well. I am really fascinated with the Fisker Ocean, and not because so much of the car is made from recycled crap taken out of the ocean, but it just is how do I say this? It's a damn good looking vehicle.
It
And
is.
I think if I remember correctly, it's under $40,000
It is supposed to be
for
under 40,000.
the base car. If you
Yeah.
go to their, yeah,
And they're looking at a collaboration with other companies. So
wow,
they're another one that, like so many, are starting to look out there and say, oh, who can we partner with? Who can we uh, help manufacture these faster and better? Because right now, especially in the battery front, there's just not enough players in the game to
hmm
make enough batteries for this to work yet, on the scale that we're talking about.
sure,
So yeah, the pair, which would be good for you, it's more of an urban vehicle. It's going to be 29,990,
wow,
but it's a small car that doesn't have a lot of range, so it's more of an urban vehicle.
yes.
Or you who drive 700 miles a year could use it. That it would be good for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was 3,800 miles last year. Don't
yeah.
don't exaggerate. Yes.
So I didn't want to overestimate.
No,
So
it probably won't be 3,800 miles this year because other than to see my kids occasionally, I have no desire or need to go back to the DC area. Um, but I suppose I will at least once or twice so I can visit my daughter.
yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah,
And so there's an interesting conversation going on. Cybertruck, from the last estimate I heard people at the rodeo say
yeah,
it's going to be between 5,000 and 6,000, so it should be under 6,000 pounds.
it's still heavy.
It's still heavy, but
Yeah,
in the normal range of a F-150, which is 5,300 pounds. F-250s are more. Yeah, we do a whole show on the weights of vehicles here.
I think we did.
Feel like
Yeah,
we did. Yeah, you
yeah.
guys need to go back and look at that show.
Can I
They're
can I
not that
can I
heavy.
can I tell you something? I was at the mini dealership on Saturday. I didn't spend any real time there. I met up with one of the friends of CarEdge, Bill Safici, and his son Christian, and we grabbed breakfast on Saturday morning. But I was checking many of Mount Laurel's inventory yesterday, and they have a Cooper, a John Cooper Works convertible, and I was thinking to myself, I could look good in that. Now, my hearing aids wouldn't like it as much because, when you have the top down and the wind's just whipping
Yeah.
over those hearing aids, I wouldn't be able to hear the good radio in the car. But damn, we used to, when Zach was a senior in high school, we had a mini Roadster, the 2-seat Roadster convertible, and I loved that car. I loved having a convertible.
Yep.
I loved the feel of the wind over my bald head. I wouldn't say that it was, through my hair, because there was very little hair there then as now, but there's just something about a convertible that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, I've had two convertibles. I stopped when someone just put a knife through the top and stole the car.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
and I went, okay, I'm not going to do that again, I guess. So,
Yeah.
but but short of that, I always liked the convertible. So, do your hearing aids not have a noise canceling feature? I feel like they should these
I'm
days.
sure they have an
Yeah,
anti-wind feature, but when you're doing 80 miles an hour on
yeah,
95,
I guess.
okay, and the top's down, uh, the only hope is that, well, just rip the damn hearing aids out of your ears and throw them out the window. There's nothing that's gonna, that's all I hear when it's windy.
Conversely, and I'm just going to throw this out there, couldn't you just turn them off without having to
I
rip
don't
them
know how
out?
you turn them off. The way I turn them off is I take them out.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, what's the
uh,
point of having them in your ear if they're
yeah,
off
that's true.
and it just feels like your ears are stuffed?
Okay, yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that. I have that with my
Yeah.
AirPods sometimes
Yeah.
on the
So,
noise canceling when there's nothing in there.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, why am I doing this? Yeah.
but and speaking of the VinFast, by the way,
Yes.
did you
Yes.
see that Sony is pairing with VinFast to launch a Ride EVU in car streaming? So
Why?
now you can rent movies for
Mm,
your EV.
yeah.
I'm not really sure why you would do that.
Can you
Unless
only,
it's for the back seat. Like I don't really because
yeah, I was going to say, can you only watch them when you're in park?
yeah, I mean, so on the 3 and Y, that's the way that works.
Yeah.
I drove a Model X. We'll get into that, but I drove a Model X yesterday, plaid with a yoke steering wheel because I wanted to see what the yoke is like on a larger vehicle.
Yeah.
Because I have the Cybertruck coming that I may or may not be able to afford. Spoiler alert: I probably won't be able to, but any which way, if the yoke is so, I wanted to try it out, and so they had the screen in the back though,
Yeah.
so you can watch that at any time. The screen in the front, of course, you have to be in park. So unless this goes to the back, I don't really understand because despite a lot of people's assertion of how long it takes to charge an EV, it doesn't actually take that long to charge an
Yeah.
EV.
Not long
15,
enough to
20.
watch a 2-hour
Yeah.
movie.
You're
Um,
there for 15, 20 minutes. I'm
yeah.
like, you're
Um, I,
so
I'm
you
I'm
can't even
gonna
watch a TV show.
I'm gonna say something that'll probably get me in trouble, but what's
Yeah,
new?
that's fine.
Um, why is it that we think if the kids are in the back of the car, they need to be entertained like that?
I don't know. I mean,
Why is it? Because I've seen, well, for the kids. Well, I'll say this as nice as I can. Screw the kids, okay? Um, let them entertain themselves. Damn it! I mean, that's what we did when I was a kid. We didn't have this stuff. Why?
no, but
Why is there a need for it?
when I was a kid, I will defend it and say this. When I was a kid, I had a Walkman. And I
Okay.
listened to my music separately from what my parents were listening to because they were my parents and I didn't want to listen to that music.
Yes.
Um, they were listening to the new stuff and I was off into the 50s and 60s music. So we were a little bit
Okay.
backwards as far as that goes, but I was listening to my own stuff. Um, and then I think this is just sort of an extension of that. Now, I would never bring an iPad to give to a kid and that, but if it's in the car, like I get where you're coming from, and I have that gut reaction. But then at the same time, I go, look, it advances. It's not like we're playing car games anymore.
Listen, I've sold cars. I've managed dealerships when we came out with the entertainment systems in the cars to entertain the children. Yeah, I get it, but I don't know why it's necessary. I
I would say it's definitely not necessary because I don't have anything in the back of my car. I didn't have them when my kids were growing up. It's Yeah, I mean, Phil has a point. I mean, I do. The kids don't talk to each other. They live on their iPads, and I see that. I see a lot of
yeah.
siblings who,
Well,
I mean, well, look, we
wouldn't
used to fight as siblings, and they're not even fighting anymore because they don't know the other one exists.
wouldn't they all be better off if they learned how to communicate and have
Yeah,
conversation and share things? Yeah, I guess
yeah,
what this points out is I'm old and in some aspects old fashioned, but what is wrong? I mean, I used to work when I worked as a sales manager at Sun Pontiac in Mesa, Arizona. Okay. And it was a standalone Pontiac store. I believe we were one of 27 standalone Pontiac stores. And I worked as a sales manager, and we had 3 sales managers up in the sales tower. Okay. And we each had our own computer so we could desk deals and everything we needed to do. And my compatriots were no more than 18 inches away from me on either side. And there was one sales manager there that always insisted on emailing me. Okay, literally. And then he'd look at me and go, "Did you read the email?" And I go, "I'm right here. Just have a damn conversation with me." Okay. There's nothing wrong with learning how to talk to other people. Okay. Learning how to communicate in an effective manner. And that's not necessarily learned by having your head in an iPad or looking up at the entertainment screen that's in the back of a car for you.
yeah.
And I know parents will say, "Yeah, well, it really keeps the kids quiet." Find other ways to keep the kids quiet. I mean, there were days when kids entertained themselves with like a stick and a wheel, and they'd hit the stick and they'd watch it roll down the street. And then they'd probably get hit by a car or something. But that was minor. but the point is that kids should be creative enough to figure out how to fill their time without having devices do that for them.
Yeah, I think Phil is hinting at what I say too. It's the easy way out. I think
Yes.
it's the I'm going to say it less politely than Phil, as always, as I
Yes.
say everything, which is it's lazy parenting.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sit them in front of the screen. You don't have to deal with them. Now they're not bothering you while you drive, and
Yeah. It's just
it's like, look. I also, as a kid, I say I had Walkman, but also as a kid, we played card games. The license plate game
yes.
and all kinds of stuff.
You'd
Slug
look for
bug.
did you look for a pediddle?
No,
Do you know what a pediddle was?
well, I knew a lot of pediddles. They were registered and had to tell you. But
That's a pedophile. That's
oh,
different.
okay, sorry.
Okay, a pediddle was like a car that had one headlight out.
Oh no, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, well, I think that's what we called it back in the day.
Yeah, we
my
played
day.
slug bug. That's what we and pincher bug for the vans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we used to we used to play alphabet games, and we would play country games like somebody would name a country, and then you'd have to name a different country, and
Yeah. That
and
started with the last letter of the other
yeah,
country.
we would all participate, and I don't know. I remember drives to San Diego when we lived in the Phoenix area, and we would go to San Diego every year for a week to 10 days. And at that time, Dara really liked Harry Potter, and we had Harry Potter audiobooks. And we would all listen to them. You know who. And I would literally, I was falling asleep at the wheel driving. Okay. It was, we had to turn that stuff off so I could pay. It's just, I'm okay.
I
Let's
listen
talk
to a
about
lot of
something.
audiobooks, but I don't do it while I'm driving because either I'm not paying attention and something happens and I'm like, what just happened?
Yes,
Or I am paying attention and thus I am not paying attention to driving. So
exactly.
like I can do one or the other. So music is better for me
I
in the
understand.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I've never done the counting cows game, but I live in an area where cows are extremely prevalent, and I have to take my shoes off to count to 20. So I don't know
wow.
how
Well,
that would
that's
go. Um,
well, if you had full driving mode.
yeah, then I could, yeah. Uh, yeah, but hey, I mentioned I drove the Model X
Yes,
yesterday to try it
and
out,
yes, and what did you
and
think?
first off, I love the car. The salesman was, or the experienced person, they were salesman,
Yes,
was very nice, and it drove great, and the yoke was easy. Like that was the other thing was the new Teslas don't come with stocks, and it's rumored the new Model 3 won't have stocks anymore. So I was wondering how I'd get used to the turn signal because it's
yeah,
now a button on the wheel,
yeah.
and not a real button, Ray. It's a just a fingerprint button. Um, so I was like, I don't know about that. And at first I was still like, I'd hit it with my thumb, but then I would still like make the
Yeah,
motion of hitting the blinker. And I was like, but that took me about 20 minutes to get used to. And it was fine again. The horn, I think, would take a lot longer because it's also a button
yeah.
and not in the center. And the button moves as you turn. So I could see that being an issue because you're not going to get used to it because you're not using your horn all the time, hopefully.
Very
Um,
rarely. Yeah.
yeah. But yep, here was the issue if you're pointing this to to the issue. Yep. So opening and closing those doors 4 times, all 4 times the passenger Falcon wing door didn't open or close.
Wow.
It got stuck all 4 times. And the salesperson, oh, it must have been getting caught on the carpet or something. It's like, well, first off, that doesn't really make any sense. But secondly, okay, let's pretend it was stuck on the carpet.
Yeah.
Not a good selling feature, dude. Like, it was 4 times we tried to open and close it, and it had trouble all 4 times. And
Wow.
when I look through the forums, the number one complaint are the Falcon wing doors
So
don't.
so the doors open up like on the
Yeah,
old DeLorean?
yeah, only they have a lot of sensors in them because they can contract and fold. So you can open them up in a very, very, very tight space.
Yeah.
So you're in a parking lot with cars on the line right next to you on each side.
Yeah.
They'll still open up and not hit those. They'll stop at a certain point. So if you're parked in a garage and it won't go up and hit the ceiling and all that.
Okay.
So there's a lot of sensors in those, and that's sort of what they are saying a lot of the issues are. And then Elon, I finally read like earlier, I think it was last year actually. He said, yeah, it's probably a car no one should ever have made. I was like, okay. Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
they just they've discontinued right hand drive of the S and X. I think they'll probably eventually discontinue both of those models. But the X, I was just like, the Falcon wing doors are cool, but what you're telling me is that's the feature that's going to break the most,
what good
uh,
is it?
that's kind
Yeah.
of a problem for me. Like if that's what it is, and I read through a lot of forums because I was like, look, it was one car that I drove, like so maybe this car has that issue
Hmm.
and another one just wouldn't. So I give the benefit of the doubt. Look, I can test drive a car that just happens to have the issue. But
Yeah.
man, going through those forums, I'm kind of convinced. Like I really liked the car, and I don't have $108,000 to buy one, but if I did, I would be like, hey, you know what, that was a nice car. And then you read through all that, and you go, no, I would not buy that car.
Wow.
That seems like such a huge issue, and that's unfortunate because everything else about it I like the windshield goes so far up. Mine has a beam right before the glass.
Yes.
So between the front windshield and the rest of it, there's a beam that has the sun visor and stuff on it.
Gotcha.
Uh, the X does not. It just goes just one piece of glass that goes all the way back.
Wow.
And man, it's a different experience. It's makes it feel enormous inside.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was like a foot over my head of clearance. It was, I mean, I felt really small in the vehicle, but it handled so well. And I just go, but I would never
But
buy
the
one
doors.
because the back door can't open or close. A lot of people said, yeah, I have to hit the button 3 or 4 times sometimes. Like, no way.
There
No way.
was there was I think our buddy Alex, the sound guy from Alaska, he sent me a thing a video about somebody complaining about the fit and finish of his new Model S Plaid, that it was just abysmal as to the issues that they have on some of their expensive vehicles. The
Yeah,
fit and finish just isn't there.
I've said that, Ray. I've said this before. It's not a luxury vehicle, even the S and X.
Yeah,
They're premium vehicles. They are not luxury vehicles. And if you're going from a Mercedes, say, and you want a $110,000 or $130,000 Model S, you're probably going to be disappointed with the quality of the interior. You're paying for the tech. You are definitely not paying for luxury.
yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
I agree. My Model 3 too, and I've been in many Model 3s and Ys, and they just don't have that. They don't have those problems. But the S and the X, like I really liked the X, but I wouldn't get into it and go, this is comparable to a high end Mercedes. Like,
Because it's
no, it's
not.
not. No, it's not.
Wow.
It's the tech. You're paying for the tech,
Wow.
and
That,
then which is fine if that's what you want, but yeah, I mean, I think there are other luxury automakers out there, Lucid, because Lucid you sit in and you feel the quality. I mean, it's a
yeah.
$250,000 car up to, so you better feel it. But at least there's luxury there.
Yeah, but I get that, but you just mentioned, for instance, this Model S Plaid that I was talking about. It was allegedly $140,000 car. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sorry. At $140,000, there should be certain standards that
yeah,
a
I agree.
car can meet. Okay. That's not premium. That's a luxury price. And even at $140,000, I don't want to just be paying for tech at
Yeah,
$140,000. I want to have something other than the tech that says this is $140,000 well spent. There's a certain level of luxury that should be associated with a $140,000 vehicle purchase. That should not be considered a premium vehicle or a near luxury vehicle at those price points. That's a luxury price point. You need to live up to that luxury price point.
I think so. The way I look at it is they're not going for the Mercedes BMW thing. They're going for the sports performance vehicle. So closer to a Ferrari, Lamborghini, which are also not luxury vehicles. Sit in those and you're like the Lamborghini in particular sat in 2 different models. It's like, this seat is the most uncomfortable seat I've ever sat in. But that's not what it's made for. It's made for performance. And I think the S particular is that the X is an SUV. So I get confused by that one. Now, it is more premium than my 3 or the Y.
Yeah.
It is like the seats are, it's heated, cooled, and they're softer, non-leather leather and all that. But yeah, I definitely see where people have those issues with it. Someone here asked, what do they do with right-hand drive countries? with the S and X, they don't buy them. Those right-hand drive countries who had orders for the S and X, they were refunded
Wow.
and just said sorry. It's not like they were offered left-hand drive models. Tesla just said sorry, it's not available there anymore.
Hmm.
So Australia doesn't have the S and X at all. You just can't buy those.
Oh my,
Rumor is
well,
they won't get the Cybertruck either.
well, you know what? That just rules out ever moving to Australia.
Yeah,
Forget it.
yeah. You want
If I can't see any of those vehicles, I ain't moving there.
well, my best friend who moved to Australia is fighting desperately to come back now. So I give you a whole bunch of other reasons not to move to Australia.
Well,
Apparently,
what do you mean he's fighting desperately to come back? He's not welcome, or what?
well, she,
Oh, she's not welcome.
yeah, she got married,
Yeah.
and it's her husband trying to
Ah.
get her husband back in. So yeah, she can come.
Okay.
She has no problem, but it's getting the visas and everything for her husband. It took her 5 years to get her citizenship down there, which she just got.
Wow.
And then now trying to get him here. It is apparently somewhat difficult to get into America properly. So
Wow.
they're fighting that and trying to get there. Gonna have to hire lawyers and all that to get him to come over here. So lots of stuff there. But yeah, that's what I told him. I said, look, if you guys don't have the Model S and X,
Yeah.
you need to flee there. You have to
Yes.
be. I told them they need to seek asylum in the U.S. as EV refugees.
It-
There's not enough
we
Teslas over there.
we must have
And-
that as
yeah,
an option. Yeah.
yeah. I have heard this.
Yeah.
Igor is not the first one to say this. Her husband, who's Australian,
Yes.
born and raised his whole life, is having some of the issues there with their government, and he wants to come over here. And I just warned him. I'm like, not all Americans are very pro-government here either. Like, you may not be coming into the best environment here either, depending on your point of view. So just don't I don't want you to flee Australia and get to America and go, well, this isn't any different.
Yeah. The one thing that is different, you're probably going to miss those koala bears.
Yeah, that's the bugs. The pictures of the bugs
They got
she
big bugs
sent.
there.
They big bugs, the spiders, everything there is designed to kill you. Apparently,
Send them to Florida. They got big bugs in Florida.
Yeah,
palmetto bugs are. Yeah.
Yeah. So so she's trying to get back here, and we've talked about that. Although they have what is it, the EV1? No, it's not what it's called. Someone in the comments knows what I'm going to say here. The solar powered, is it solar one that they have down there? They have the solar powered EV that they're working on down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mark, are you in here? I know you know what I'm calling.
I think I've read about that or seen something about that. But you keep telling me that the solar power and the Fisker has that built into the roof as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't provide a lot of energy.
No, it's one of the, I think it's like up to 5 miles a day or something. But it's not to power your vehicle forever. But I do say, look, if you're going to be parked at work, then, why not have something? And there's nowhere to charge, then okay, have something going into your battery.
Well, wouldn't
you'll still be better off?
Wouldn't it work even while you're moving as long as the sun's hitting it?
Yeah, it would work. I mean, I'm just saying that, I don't think it's not adding much. I don't think, although the one they're doing in Australia has a larger range. I think they're saying like 20, 25 miles a day.
That could be perfect for a guy like me.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, of course, you have to have the sun.
Yeah.
So.
No, we don't get that as often as I would like.
Yeah. Well, plus, there's shade from buildings that come through, and there's trees, and there's, no, I mean, even in the shade, it'll pick up some, obviously, just not as much. So, I mean, they're working on stuff down there too. And hopefully, I know what they're working on, 4 different lithium mines down there in Australia. Wow. And they're a free trade partner. so that could help a lot. Although I guess you then have to put either the lithium or the batteries onto giant ships full of diesel fuel
to get them
and
all over the
get them
world.
over
Yeah,
to here. So,
yeah,
you know, everywhere you go, there you are. I mean, that's
yeah. There's always
where that,
trade-offs. There are
yeah,
always trade-offs, Justice.
that's right.
Yeah. Well, it's approaching. You know what time?
Time for lunch
Pretty much. Yeah.
and time for my meeting.
Oh, we have a meeting. You have a
I
meeting.
have a meeting. Yeah.
I don't have a meeting.
You do not have to come. You are always welcome on to any of our meetings you'd like,
Yeah.
Ray, but you do not have to be. This is
Well,
the car coach meeting.
well, apparently after yesterday's meeting, I'm not. 'Cause I didn't even get the memo that we're not having the meeting today.
You got to come on Slack.
Yeah,
You-
well, I
you-
don't do. I keep slacking off. I am
Yeah.
never going to be on Slack. I promise you. And I hope everybody from yesterday's meeting understood that what I was saying. I wasn't trying to say it in a mean way. I was just trying to say that our numbers are minuscule in comparison to other data points that are out there. Not saying that it's not a good thing that those numbers are growing, because that's a wonderful thing. But I think I pretty much came off like an a-hole yesterday. So I apologize for that.
I missed that meeting, so I got to go back. I'm sorry I missed that. I have no idea what you're talking about. So,
Well, you can ask Phil.
yeah, I'll ask Phil. Yeah, okay. He said Phil says he understood.
Okay, good.
I don't think we do not have a dress code or an HR department. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, thankfully we don't have a dress code. But to your point, when you were talking about the email with your boss, Phil and I have discussed this all the time. We have the opposite problem, which is, or similar, is we're all remote. So we're always on Slack, we're always on
Yes.
email, we're always on this. And there are many times we're like, we wish we were all in an office together where I can just go over and say, hey, Ray, here's this thing I'm thinking about.
Can
And
I
have
tell
a
you
quick
that
conversation.
that Zach has said to me, he said, it would really be great if we could all be in an office working together as
Yeah.
opposed to just working remote. Because you just feel as if you have a stronger connection, a stronger human connection when you actually I don't know, are within a few feet of the people that you're working with, as opposed to within a screen's length of
Yeah.
and not that we don't all get along this way, we do, but there's a slightly different type of camaraderie when you're all in the same building, but that ain't never going to happen.
No, I'm not moving to DC or New Jersey. Sorry.
And I don't think Zach's moving to Sacramento. So
No, and I do not advise that he does.
Good.
So, but I might be moving out your way. We'll see. My sister from Boston just she said she was going to move to Orlando when she was out here, and we had about a 3-hour conversation, and then she gets back, and yesterday she messages me and says, you know what? I looked into it, and Raleigh, North Carolina looks really nice. I might actually move there.
Raleigh is a beautiful area.
And that's the place that I've been considering for a long time. She's the RN at Mass General.
Yes.
And she looked at Duke, which is one of the top 3 hospitals in the country.
Yes.
And she's like, I could actually get on there. And I will tell you right now, if she moved to Raleigh, that would be the linchpin for me. I would just move.
It is an absolutely beautiful area. When we took Zach to look at the University of North Carolina, and just that whole area is just an absolutely gorgeous area, and that tech triangle. There's a few good schools down there as well. Yes.
Yeah. There's a couple good universities down there. I'll have to change my hat. No, I'm never going to change the hat. I'm out of Boston, but it's still in me.
You can become a Carolina Hurricanes fan. In hockey. Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Oh, hockey. Yeah, I watch a lot of that.
Yeah.
All right, Ray, you go have a nice lunch. And I will ask in the meeting what the hell you're talking about.
Okay, please, please. You'll find out from Phil. He'll share with you.
Yeah.
I think we're
All right.
doing this again tomorrow.
We are, and we are talking. I don't remember what we're talking about tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. But I'll be here.
Yeah, I'll be here too.
Okay, cool.
What is that? Oh, we're talking about collision and battery recycling. Oh, that's right. We're talking about your battery swap. That I still say, I said it, I think last Friday, and I'll say it again. I think you're right, and I might be wrong on that. That might be something big. So,
I thought that was really interesting, and yes,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that conversation tomorrow.
So we'll talk about that tomorrow. All things battery, and then on Friday, we're going to go all in on hybrids.
Okay, cool. I'll be here for both. Yeah. I promise.
So, thank you for watching, everyone. Have a good day.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.